My new book, Pillars for Life, A Guide to Spiritual Ethics and Practice, is now out and available for you to read and purchase. You can check out our website, willowhealing.org, to find a link, or you can find it on Amazon. We look forward to getting your feedback, and if you love it, please leave a review and share with your friends. Now it's time for the show. Welcome to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We are so excited to have you joining us on this journey where we explore different ways to empower your soul, whether it's healing in your kitchen or all the way up in the corporate world. Come with us as we look into different ways to heal your mind, body, and soul. Hello, everyone. It's Catherine from Willow Healing Matters, the podcast, and I am here today with the beautiful Amoré Roux. So she is an empowerment coach, embodiment photographer, and the founder of Kathara, a global sisterhood for bold women ready to rewrite the rules. I already love this. A mystic and rebel, Amoré blends spirituality and alcohol-free lifestyle, yoga, astrology, and personal healing to help women reclaim their power. Based in Cape Town with her partner and 3 dogs, she travels the world living life on her own terms. Through her course, online community, and upcoming retreats, Amoré is building a new paradigm of sisterhood rooted in freedom, authenticity, and radical self-expression. She's here to remind you that you are meant for more and it's time to claim it. So a big welcome to the show, Amoré.
Thank you so much.
It's always fun hearing your biography, right?
I know. I was like, wow, hey girl.
That's me.
So funny. That's me. No way. I did that. Wow.
Exactly. So I guess, but I guess we can start at what led you to your spiritual journey and developing this amazing community.
Wow. The development of I feel like those are 2 big questions in one. The spiritual journey. Yeah. I'll start with the spiritual journey because I think that's what led us here. My life really, since I was a young age, as many people do, they have a very troubled childhood in whatever case that might look like. For me, my parents got divorced really early and I was the only child between them. So I was often very alone. My mom, has struggled with mental illness. So she was very fleeting and it was quite unstable, my life, until my whole life pretty much. So I was often the girl that was really alone. And the spiritual awakening or the journey sort of started at a young age because I felt so lost, so alone, so troubled. My mom had a second husband who was an alcoholic. My dad remarried and they lived in different cities and I was always traveling from place to place. And I often felt really lost, really alone and not knowing what's the cause for all this suffering. And so at a young age, I think I was about 12, I really started asking the really big questions like, why are we here? What is the reason for this? What is my purpose? What is the meaning of life and what is my role in it? Because for me, I really struggled to figure out what that was. And so from then on, as a teenager, beautiful questions to start your teenage years. So that really took off in a terrible way because I couldn't find answers. I was still really alone and I moved again. I've moved from place to place as my years were because I was in between for my mom and my dad anyway. So I really found my healing in places that often the society teaches us, like alcohol. I was grasping at anything that could help me feel better. So I was drinking from a young age. I was smoking cigarettes from a young age. I eventually had an eating disorder. Anything that I could try and control and manage and grasp onto, I was cutting myself. I had suicidal thoughts at a really young age already. So all of that really, it got worse and worse and worse and just kept packing on. And I was looking for that connection to something more in life because surely this can't be it. And I just was really alone. And that led to the community being founded now in my, 30s, because after years of healing and my spiritual development, I was that woman who needed connection, who felt lost, who felt alone, who didn't know the answers, who was looking for a spiritual awakening, who couldn't find healing and went looking everywhere. And this was why I created Kathara.
Which it
That was a
did end up
heavy-handed
tying
answer.
together. Look at that. And I can see why,
There.
why you basically
Yeah.
went seeking for those ways to numb yourself, because it's almost like your soul was yearning and looking for answers and you weren't getting them.
That's
So instead of like
that's it.
listening to that pain that was coming out, it was just easier to numb it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, because I didn't know how to manage. I didn't know what emotional regulation was. No one was teaching me anything about regulation. You know, my dad was busy with his life, my mom was busy with her life, and I was just sort of this little lost bird, trying to figure out my path in life and trying to also overcome the hurt and the pain that I'm going through. So searching, getting answers was not really, it was just about managing at that point. But
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, how can I manage all these big feelings that I have, especially as a teenager, then to add all the hormones in on
yeah,
top of all of that,
yeah,
plus trying to find your identity,
exactly.
because where
Yeah,
do I belong? Because it was almost like you didn't even have a sense of safety because there was no home that you felt home
yeah,
in.
that's exactly it. There was no sense of safety, no sense of security, up until later when I was living with my dad for a few years. But then after that, I left the house. I then started on my own and, you know, drinking and stuff like that to add drugs on top of it. It just spiraled and got way worse. And then I had a car accident and it just, you know, drunk driving, fled the country, tried to start fresh. So really just all these ways of trying to cope and flee from myself because the mind was the problem. And I had no idea how to manage my mind. And so the thoughts and the craziness and the lack of being able to resolve the inner turmoil was really troubling. So up until I then got sober and figured out a plan, that's only when that started happening.
Yeah, and then I love that you then shaped all of that trauma, all of that learning, all of that curiosity into then creating a sisterhood where other women wouldn't have to go through that and feel alone.
Yeah, that's, I think my biggest pain was feeling alone and all of that and not feeling understood and feeling very misunderstood and very different from everyone else because, you know, I didn't fit in as naturally. I had lots of tattoos and, you know, the society that I was in, even it was more traditional. My friends were traditional and I wanted more. I wanted to live life on my terms. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be liberated. I didn't conform to normal societal ideas and beliefs. And I'm sure you can also maybe relate to that. So it was hard for me to fit in. So then not even fitting in, I'm not fitting in. And then on top of everything else, I've got all this other stuff happening. So yeah, I really feel passionate about creating that for women so that they feel safe in being fully expressed in whatever wild expression they want to be and just know that everyone's accepted and welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, which is so beautiful because often, especially women who are more spiritual early on, or you're more sensitive, if you will, and you're really empathic to what's happening around you. No one seems to
Yeah.
understand, and you never feel like you fit in because, for me growing up, I can so relate to that. Not
Mm,
having the parents, but I never felt like I fit in because I could always see under people's masks, and I was like,
mm,
why are you being inauthentic, and then I'd have to put on masks to try and fit in, like you said. And if it
yeah.
was either like extreme, right, you either fit in and feel uncomfortable, or you don't fit in and still
Mm,
feel uncomfortable. So then at some point
yeah.
in your life you finally
Yeah.
go, well, I rather just not fit in and feel uncomfortable anyway and be myself.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? That's exactly it. And it's the same as you. I couldn't handle it anymore. And I also have the same where I can see right through any sort of BS. And, you know, at a young age, I'm sure I would love to know about you, but, you know, when you have a situation where your parents are like my mom was quite volatile in the way her character was. You have to sort of learn how to decipher the truth and what's not true, and learn character traits and things really well. And so that was just, and I'm a reflector in human design. I don't know if you know what that is. So it really just amplifies everything too.
Yeah, and I guess too, it was like even in high school, especially high school, right? And then,
Yeah.
and you're constantly like, hang on a minute, like you're meant to be my friend and you're behaving this way. Like, where's the integrity and where's the actual loyalty and those sort of things? And it's like, nope, you aren't my tribe. And I was like very
Yeah.
like I drew the line in the sand very quickly. I was very unforgiving.
Okay.
I was like, nope, you betrayed me. I'm not going back to
Yeah.
that, and then sometimes I would. And then I'm like, why am I putting up with this? It's just the same crap again. And like just
Yeah.
spilled a different way. And then you keep
Yeah.
choosing. Well, I kept choosing relationships that were like that I never got to be my full
Mm,
self in. And I always had to keep putting
mm.
masks in to try and fit in.
Yeah, yeah, I resonate a lot. I was exactly the same. I was ruthless. I used to get bullied. I don't know about you. Did you get bullied before when you were in school? Sorry, there's a bit of a delay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there is a little bit of a delay. It's okay. I'll fix it later.
Okay. Okay.
um, but yeah, it's all right. It will work. I promise. It'll look beautiful.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool.
So,
So you did get bullied?
but yeah, I did, but in a different way, like, and to the point where I
Mm.
put on this very big, like this very big persona of like nothing phased me. Like, even I remember having this fight with
Mm,
a girl, and we actually got into a full bitch
mm,
slapping like thing in the middle of the
mm.
playground, and everyone's
Oh,
just
wow.
watching, and it all started over. Um, I said something, but I said something in retaliation to her. And then she came up and she just slapped me. And then I'm like, well, I'm not taking that. And it was just escalated into this massive cat
Wow.
fight. And,
Hectic.
fortunately, like the teachers didn't see or anything because otherwise we would have had to relive that
Yeah.
and rehash that goodness knows how many times. But at the same time,
Yeah.
she
Oh,
then became one of my really good friends because it's like we caught each other
no
out of our
way.
crap and pulled ourselves out of
Yeah.
it. Yeah. And then it was just really interesting how,
Wow.
especially when you intimidate people and you trigger people, you do
Mm,
end up getting bullied in some way because they
mm.
don't know how to present themselves with you. And instead of being vulnerable with you, they try and bring you down so
Yeah.
that they can't,
Yeah.
it's like they're not triggered.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I think that's what it's interesting because obviously when you're a child you don't see it like that. But when I was young, because I got
No,
bullied twice in
it's
two different schools, I moved schools and both situations was on the second school that I moved to. So I came in midway from my primary school and then my high school midway. And both times I got bullied. And it's so funny because the first time it happened, obviously in primary school, I was like, okay, this is happening. I went to the school halls and sat there for breaks, and I wasn't much bothered. And then it changed the year after. But in high school, I remember going, I'm sorry, what is this? Is this bullying? You're bullying? We're 16. You should get over yourself. Like, this is silly. And I remember leaving. So same as you, just completely, this is not, we're not doing this. No, just completely not.
No, and exactly, and it's amazing. Like high school has so much trauma, but I think for everyone, I don't think I've ever met anyone that says I had a great high
100%.
school experience. You know,
No, there's always
but it's funny
somebody with
because
something.
yeah, exactly. And it's funny because my little one, he went to like this little prep program, and there was a girl that
Mm.
was bullying him, and she was actually not just bullying
Oh,
him, she was
no.
bullying like a lot of the kids. And so
Oh,
fortunately,
wow.
she kind of got asked to leave because it was quite traumatic for all the
Ah,
kids. But then the
no
following
way.
year, a similar thing happened. And
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm going to empower my child in this moment. And I said to him, this is what I just said. This is the pattern. This is what happens. what do you think you can
Yeah.
change about how you react to this situation?
Mm,
And then it
mm.
wasn't a problem anymore. Like it suddenly wasn't, like it just almost brought it
Wow.
into his radar and to his consciousness. And then
Wow.
it's kind of put an end to it. And I feel like sometimes as a parent, but also as people going through life, you know, if we just got told that simple instruction very early on,
Mm,
it would have
mm.
changed so many things. It's just like they're doing their own thing. Don't worry about them,
Yeah.
like, as much
What
as
a
you can. But
beautiful,
then also,
yeah.
also being curious why they are. Yeah.
Mm. I love that perspective, just about, I love the fact that you helped him be self-empowered and figure out his own way and asking him, what is it that you can change, and not even suggesting anything that you could do. I think that's such a, what a beautiful, um, way of mothering. I think a boy is very blessed to have that, because I am all about self-empowerment and trying to help women, anyone really, but just raising kids like that, like amazing. And now he's changed it. Look at that.
Yeah. Exactly. And, there was this beautiful quote. Weirdly, I was watching this show called Ted Lasso, and he said, be curious and not
Mm,
judgmental. And I think so
mm.
often we need to be that way, right? Be curious about why they're
Yeah,
acting that way. Because
yeah.
I always say to people, you don't know what happened to that poor person 10 minutes before they walked in to see
Mm,
you, or
yeah,
you don't know what happened. They might have got off a really horrible phone call before their new rang. Like you don't know the backstory. And
100%,
sometimes,
100%.
yeah. And sometimes just saying something kind in that moment can be enough to change and help that person pull themselves out of that, because, kindness doesn't cost anything and it can be such a powerful, not even an act, it's just a
Mm.
way of being.
No, 100%. That is, yeah, it's so true. And it's always, we're so quick to jump to conclusions, but I'm the same as you. I really try to, obviously I try to do that on myself, but when you're overstimulated and overworked and stressed, and sometimes I tend to, I'm not going to say I tend to not be able to have that same level of, trying to have patience and things, but we always strive for the best. But I think, I always try to think of myself as well. Like when something happens to me, obviously you've heard this before, is that it's not to me, it's for me. And I always think, when
Mm,
I see a pattern often in my life, especially as it relates to my reality presenting me situations or examples of things that's constantly the same sort of pattern. And I was helping a friend of mine. She was dealing with how a work relationship and a bike accident in Bali and another situation with her ex sort of all came in the same field of a same underlying thread of how she sees herself was underlying all of those things. And that's why those situations were magnetized to her. And she was attracting that because there was something in her frequency that was calling that in to show her something. But thank goodness, she's really self aware and she knows herself really well. And we were able to go over it together and see that. But I'm big on, if I see a pattern recurring in my life, and obviously with children, this is very different. But when I see a pattern in my life, I often think, okay, this is now the third or the second or the third, fourth time this is
mhm.
happening. What is underneath all of this that I could maybe have a look at? What is my involvement
Yeah.
in this?
Exactly. I'm the
Yeah.
same. I'm 100% the same, Amoré. And it's like, okay, there's another flock of, especially I'm big on like paying attention to signs and symbols, right? Especially it's like,
Yeah.
okay, there's another group of three crows, and I've seen three crows together 5 times now in two
Yeah.
days. Maybe there's this message there that I need to look for. But
Yeah.
again, it's same with the cycles. Why am I
Mm,
back here? Sometimes just being
mm,
aware to be able to ask that question, why am I stuck in
mm.
this loop again? And, how can I shift myself out of it? And I guess that's why it's so
Yeah.
important to have support and have the right people that, you can't always see for yourself what's happening. You can notice it. And then just that
Yeah.
power of observation can be enough to then go, oh, maybe I need to go speak to my coach, or maybe I need to go speak
Yeah.
to someone in my circle to help me pull me out of this.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's exactly it. Like, there's no way I would be who I am today if I didn't have people that supported me in my journey to see myself, because we're unable to see our blind spots. There's no way I can always see my own pattern, and that's why I'm thankful to have a coach and have friends who are like us, who can really go deep with me. And then as well, the community of Katara is really built in this understanding that you have women in your corner who you can chat to and connect with, and maybe can help you see something that you're missing, because it's easier for others to objectively view a situation that you're not emotionally involved in. And as you say, then you can be guided through your blind spots
Exactly.
and be able to rectify and fix what it is that's holding you back. But I said this to her too. It's really important we have courage to do so, to change, and to have the willingness to look at ourselves honestly, with radical honesty, and look and not get ego, not in our ego about, or I don't want to look like something's wrong with me, or I don't want to accept this thing about me because that makes me feel a certain way about myself and I'm not ready to accept that. And so I think there is a lot of courage needed to be able to change.
Yeah, 100%. Because if we don't have that courage and we don't have that ability and that curiosity to step back and say, hey, this isn't for me, or this is for me, it's the courage that creates the change. And courage isn't something you're born with. Courage is an action that you actually have to take. And if you don't, put yourself
Mm,
in that position where you can have the support and know that by taking that courageous step, something will happen, then you don't really move forward in life and you continue to feel challenged because you haven't had that courage just to, end that relationship or leave that job or change your life situation or tell someone the truth.
mm.
How often we get
Yeah,
stuck in like,
yeah,
we really need to say something to somebody and we hold right back and we
yeah.
don't say that truth. We don't share what we need to share. And I feel that's such an important thing because often then if you don't say your truth, people don't realize how much that then manifests in your body where you lose your voice. You
Mm,
end up with,
mm,
tonsillitis, with laryngitis, like all
mm,
these things
mm.
because you're swallowing down the truth that you want to share with the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that you also see energy as a physical manifest in so I feel also the same as you, as if you keep your truth behind and you don't share, and especially being honest, we can block our throat chakra, as you said as well, and get tonsillitis and get a blockage, and that's going to eventually become part of our identity, who then we will then believe that's just how we are, and we will then start minimizing ourselves and limit our self-expression and limiting our voice, and then that limits how we are acting in our world and the people that we attract, and everything will become a limitation from that.
Exactly. And it's funny because sometimes when you make that courageous decision and you do something really bold and courageous and you go all in, um, the universe will meet you there. And I can speak from this
Isn't
from
that
experience, right?
strange?
Because it's just like,
Yeah.
it is. And then you're like, why didn't I do this sooner? That's often what happens. But it's perfect timing, right? It's
Always.
divinely timed. It
Always.
happens when it's meant to. Yeah.
It's so interesting because it's exactly as you said, like when you feel like there's something that you're supposed to do. Like for me, podcast is something I've been wanting to do for years. And I just haven't felt ready. I haven't felt like my throat chakra was ready. I didn't feel like my voice was ready. And for some reason, it just has been a blockage for me. And then last year, I had my 300-hour yoga teacher training here in Bali in December. And I went to Kirtan here a few nights. I don't know if you've gone to, I'm sure you've gone to Kirtan, but I went to that and
Nope.
started chanting mantras. You haven't? Oh my God, it's amazing. It changed my life. So here we are. But it just felt like singing mantra from this place of full embodiment and devotion to God and our higher power, whatever you got of your understanding, is for me was such a pivotal moment it's such a fear-based thing because I wanted to be a singer when I was younger. I wanted to be Britney. And so when I had singing lessons, and then I had a really terrible experience of singing on stage where my whole face was shaking, and I was so embarrassed. From 15 onwards, I vowed to never sing again in public. And so it was such a part of my identity that I just wouldn't sing. I would sing for no one. And then this December, I'm now 35. So 20 years later, I sing kirtan. I was shaking in my body. I was so nervous. I was shaking my face, and I was just sitting through it and singing and singing and singing. And now when I go home, I sing in the car, and it's just opened up my voice completely. It feels like it's unshackled the strain and the tight grip that I've always had. And again, this just coming back to fear, and when we actually meet that calling that's within us, that we know we're supposed to do something, that we're meant for more, that like, I know I'm supposed to use my voice. I know I'm supposed to from a young age, but fear's been holding me back. And then just pushing through, finding something that you love and a friend that can go with you, or do something that you can have fun with it and see what happens. And then the universe has just met me and given me these amazing opportunities, and having amazing conversations with women all around the world. And just because I chose to do that. So yeah, courage and sitting through
Yeah,
the
which,
fear.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's such it like, and it's funny because I had to work on my throat chakra too. So I used to be the person in class that would know all the answers and never say anything because, you don't want to seem like the really
Mm.
smart kid, or you don't want to like draw attention to
Yeah.
yourself. And then when I started my
Mm.
spiritual journey, I was doing a meditation. I went back to my soul parents, and they're like, "You're here to heal. No, sorry, you're here to be
Mm.
seen and heard and heal without hiding." And I went, "Oh,
Wow.
this is big," and
Uh,
it's again, triggering all those witch wounds
yeah.
and everything like that. And I was like, "Oh my goodness. Okay, okay, okay." And then that actually, when I started this podcast, it was to help blow open
Mm.
my throat chakra. And then I started writing at the
Yeah.
same time as well. And I had all these ways to, tap
Wow.
into my voice expression. And then somewhere along the line, my
Wow.
identity shifted again. And I moved out of that victim mindset and into an empowerment one.
Yeah.
And I went, oh,
Stunning.
actually, why am I still doing this podcast? And my coach is like, why are you doing it? And I said, well, now I get to meet beautiful people around the world. I get to potentially
Oh,
collaborate with them in
wow.
something, and I get to build a network
Yeah.
of amazing people, and I get to connect people.
Love
And
that.
whether it's me connecting
Yes.
with them or me connecting them with somebody else, so that whole reason behind it shifted. And now it's like, yeah, I love doing this. Who am I going to talk to today? And I do zero prep.
Oh,
I just come in, I read your
yeah.
bio as we sign in, and I just see the magic that happens because I believe that that's a
Amazing.
way to truly get to know someone and be genuinely curious. And at the same time,
Mm.
here I am blowing my throat chakra out because I have to be open and actually ask questions that I would normally have previously
Mm.
just pushed down and ignored.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. What a beautiful story for you to have started in that way. And this is same. This is my first podcast interview. Well, I had a first one with a coach of mine that wanted to talk about coaching and stuff, but this was the first time where I was like, I'm ready. I want to talk about this. So I'm so grateful that you are doing this and that you have me on your show, because I feel like it's been such a, like, even just we're like halfway through, and just the whole conversation we've had, so how many similarities we share, and just that our voices can be so powerful for women. And I think it's especially for women who have gone through a healing journey and who have found their voices in struggle and victimization. And then, same as you, like, I don't know your story and I would love to know, but with me, the victimization became when I was young, and obviously I was very troubled. And my dad used to just shame me a lot for speaking up, and I could never use my voice. He would just keep telling me to shut up. And so I couldn't use my voice. And so, that carried into relationships with men, and not speaking my truth and not being honest and not saying what I need and what I don't need, and, all those types of things. So I'm grateful that both of us are here now and able to share. And tell me about you and
Yeah.
about your story. I would love to know.
About my story. So the memory I have of when I kind of shut it all down I was about 3, and my great grandfather passed away. And I came to my great grandmother's house because she used to help look after me. And I was like, hey, where's Pop? That's what I called him. And my mum's like, what are you talking about? And my nan, my great grandmother, she's like, oh, he's in heaven, sweetie. He passed away. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I could see him as clear as day working in his garden. And my mum's like,
No.
no, 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 like he's gone. Like he worked we went to the funeral. And all of a sudden I'm like, I can't speak my truth because I got made to feel like I was
Wow.
crazy. And it wasn't anything that, at the time that's when it had to happen. And then I just learnt to just observe things and not say things. Like I always had an imaginary friend, but now I know it's actually like spirits, right? Like all these things that you put together later. And it was about last year, I think. And I've been really open with my family. Like I get messages from my grandparents for them all the time and things like
Oh,
this.
wow.
And, and I was, I was sharing something with my mum and she goes, oh, I know what it's like to see spirits. I used to see your great grandfather all the time. So my mum could see him as I was saying it, but she knew he had gone. So she actually was
No
protesting so
way.
much because she didn't
She knew
want
her.
that to come through. Whereas now, like, and even when I started my spiritual journey and was sharing with my mum what I'm doing, like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I channel people's guides and I can do intuitive healing and all these things. My mum's like, oh yeah, we're from a line of white witches. It comes back from your great, great, great grandmother on the Irish side. And I'm like, how has no one
Stop! Why
told me
did you
this?
keep this from
And
me?
yes, yes,
Wow.
yes. So then this magic thing happened where recently my cousin messaged me and she goes, my sister, she was talking to my sister and my sister said, you need to talk to Catherine about what you're going through. So my cousin, she's probably listening to this when this goes live. Anyway, my cousin started on this beautiful spiritual journey because she was having a sound bath experience and had these profound things happen. And so she rings up my sister to go, I had this really freaky thing to happen. She goes, you need to talk to Catherine. And then
Oh,
she goes, I
I
had
love
no idea you
it.
do any of this. And so she's going, yeah,
Wow.
and she's going through this beautiful awakening. And I just said to
I'm
her,
stunning.
because I was really blessed because my spiritual mentor did this for me. And I felt to pass it on and say, I know you're not crazy. If you feel the crazy, come and talk to me because
Oh,
often we
I love
just need
that.
someone to validate and let us know that what we're seeing
Mm,
is the truth and to hold that
mm.
space with us so that we can be our truth and not shut it back down.
100%. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you for sharing that. I am obsessed with that story. I resonate with that a lot. I also used to have imaginary friends. I used to see spirit all the time. My mom used to tell me all the time I saw all the faces, and I used to have a big angel protecting me at night, and I used to see big wings, and I don't know, maybe that was my impression of it. But anyway, I was a kid. I don't really remember. And so I just love that you shared that because it really makes me feel safe to share my stories in that way because I was actually chatting to my friend today about it and I'm scared. I have a lot of stories like that. I have guides as well. It's new for me sharing about it. You can see I'm like, oh, but it's just, I think because my parents are Christian, and they'll probably listen to this, so that's going to be fun. But it's just, I'm trying to figure out how to make it understandable without it feeling for them really hard to understand, and that it's also not bad, and it's good, and it's good energies, and there's so much more out there that we don't understand or that we don't know yet, and it's yeah, maybe you have some information about that, but just a way to communicate that to parents or people who, have a Christian
I
background.
feel
Oh no.
Yeah, and feel like you just, for me personally, I use the terms that they resonate with. So, instead of saying divine spirit, creator, all that is, I'll
So
say
sorry,
God,
it just
and,
kicked me
I
out.
use the word angels to help explain guides a bit because angels very much resonate with the Christianity teachings and things like that. And I've never not believed in Jesus. In
Do
fact, I
you
work a lot
reckon?
with him. I haven't actually said that
Do
on
you
podcast, I
reckon?
don't think. But, I'll call in his energy and work with him because he is
Yeah.
such a beautiful example of unconditional love.
But do you think that's a bad? Oh, wow.
I
Okay.
know. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I tend to use terms that they can resonate with. So like God is
Okay.
definitely one, Jesus, angels, those sort of
Mm.
things, because there's often a
Yeah.
lot of truth layered in Christianity. And for me, I will explain
Mm.
it that I'm not refrained by a religion because religion have rules around it.
Mm.
And I believe that God's an
Yeah.
unconditional love being. And, if you speak from your truth, they might think you're crazy, but at the same time, they'll still love you anyway because you seem happy or, you're speaking from your truth. And I
Yeah.
haven't had that pushback with my parents, except it was funny because I had a
Okay.
message from my dad when I first
Mm.
started my journey. And it was a bit of a test, right? Because I
Okay.
had this message and I felt it coming. It was from my grandmother. And
Okay.
I didn't want to deal with it because I was like, I don't know how to tell my
Oh.
straighty 180 dad that I have a message from
Oh.
his mother who has passed.
Oh.
And I blocked it out and I actually lost the hearing in my left ear because that's normally where I hear the messages.
Oh.
And I
No.
went, I knew what it was from. And then so I finally got to the end of the week. My husband's like, just do it. Like, you just need to get the message. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I sat down and I wrote
Yeah.
it all out. And then I rang my dad and I said, look, I've had this message. And he goes, oh, was it in a dream? And I went, nope. I was like, I said, it wasn't in a dream.
Yeah.
I said,
Nope.
is it okay? Is it okay if I share it with you? Because I'm very big on permission. I don't like dumping things. Yep, that's fine. Share it with
That's
me.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I read it out
Beautiful.
and then he goes, can you read it again? I said, yep. So I read it again. And he goes, that is 100% your grandmother. There is no way she could have known you wouldn't have known those things. That's definitely your grandmother. He goes, I said, did you want me to take a photo of it and send it to you? He goes, no, it's okay. He goes, you can burn it. He goes, but don't tell anyone you can do this. And I'm like, and I'm like,
No,
thank you,
Dad, not
protective
the
dad. I
message.
understand.
Oh, bless him.
Exactly. But at the
Oh.
same time, I could see he was being protective and now he just kind of
Mm.
accepts it. So then when my grandfather passed away last year, which was a
Oh.
crazy story in itself,
Mm.
he was
Mm.
very open to the message. And because I just typed it out and texted it, because at that point, like, I had to give it to them. I'd been sitting on it for a year. It was a very
Mm.
long
Oh,
time
wow.
coming. And I sent it to my
Okay.
uncle as well. And
Yeah.
and my dad said, how did you know to spell my name that way? And I'm like, I didn't. And then my husband's there going, she just gets the messages she can't control. Like, she doesn't know what she's getting. It's just what it is, what it is. And because it was like they used to spell my dad's name this specific way, which again, I had no idea. So it was like, it's
Yeah.
really interesting when you are working with
Mm.
people like that because you can't make the stuff up. And if you give them enough, it just
Mm.
keeps planting seeds, and then they're
Mm.
just like, oh,
Mm.
okay. Like, I don't tell my
Mm.
parents everything that I do because I think their brain couldn't
Yeah.
handle the awareness of how I can work at different
Yeah.
levels and in the quantum realm and things like that.
Makes
But I
sense.
can share things
Mm.
that are at their level of awareness. And I feel that's for anyone we work with, right? We always want to aim
Yeah,
anything at their
true.
level of awareness. We're not going to
That's true.
go into the conversation with someone who's just realized that their body has an energy field and talk to them about quantum physics. Like, we're going to come in and pitch
Yeah.
it where they need to.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate all of that, and it's really beautiful hearing your story, how you have that mediumship. I don't have that. Or maybe I do, I don't know about it, but I haven't had that experience. But it's incredible that your dad is sort of supportive and open. My dad is also very supportive and open when I speak to him about things, which is really fantastic. I think there's a reason him and my mom got together. My mom's like super spiritual. And, before when I say there's mental disease, for me, that just means there is a deep spiritual connection and an unknowing maybe how to handle that connection in the reality that we live in today. And she's got 80% of her feet in the ethereal realm and 20% here. So it can be tricky living where we live. But they got married and my dad is a accountant. He's very black and white and there's no gray. And anyway, so
So is my dad.
I'm like, yeah, right. So it's really this like, wow. And my dad always goes, oh my God, you're just like your mom. And I'm just this like free little bird that's wandering around and artist and creative and super spiritual and, those types of things. So thank you for sharing. I think I do try to do that. I'm scared when I'm going, on a podcast and speaking about my guides and things like that. I'm always tentative to, because it's more my stepmom she's really scared. She's very strict with her rules and Christianity. And even though I am spiritual and I believe the same as you, that the truth is underlying all religions and that sort of thing, but I believe in the truth underneath it, it's hard for her to understand because that in of itself
Yeah.
is the bad thing in Christianity, So yeah, we will see as time progresses, but I need to also speak my truth. So
Yeah,
we're
and
working
it's
on it.
and it's such a history thing too, Amoré, where our souls have often gone through persecution for speaking about these things on so many different levels. Even just
Yeah.
being talking about spirit guides or angels and things like that could have brought about persecution, and so there's often that fear and resistance. And I've just learned, like I said, when I was sharing, why am I trying to fit in? I'm like, I'm just going to talk,
Yeah,
but at the same time,
I
intuitively,
love that.
spirit,
Mm,
divine, whatever resonates with you, you always get the right wording for the right people to listen. That's what I found. So,
mm,
you'll
mm,
always feel, okay, I can share this, or no, this doesn't feel safe to share this with this person for whatever
mm,
reason. And the more you learn to trust that, the more that it lets it flow through.
yeah,
And fortunately, we're recording
mm,
this in May. This episode won't come out till
yeah.
October. So you've got 5 months to bring your stepmom around.
Oh, amazing. Great. That's actually really good to know. But I love that you said about you will know whether it's safe or not, because that's very interesting when I have like you always have that open contact, but when I'm having conversations with clients or with women or friends or anyone, I always get that intuitive safe, not safe, safe, not safe. And my throat will block before I'm able to say something. And then my guides would be like, no, not now, not right now, can't say that. And then I don't know in that moment, but it's always to protect me. And they validated why so many times. And I've always, as you say, like you always find the right words in the right time. So I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful to have this connection. My connection with my guides only came about a year ago. So it's very new.
Amazing.
It's very deep. It's very profound. Obviously, it's just growing and building. And I'm really, really just so thankful because I just feel so not alone as well, and always guided and always protected. And that's something that I could never have dreamed of having.
Exactly. And you can't put it back in the bottle because you just know you can't put the genie back in.
Let's try. No rest. Come on. No, no. And yeah, so
um,
thank you for your wisdom and sharing that.
That's not a problem. And we probably should finish up talking at some point. So I ask all the guests that come on the show if they
Yeah,
could heal or change something in the world,
yeah.
what would it be?
I remember you asked me this before. Um, heal or change something in the world. That's a big one. I think if everyone could see everyone and every being as a reflection of themselves, that would be a rescue to the planet and the moment. And to, if you could see yourself in another, if you could see yourself in an animal, if you could see yourself in a plant, if you could see, or you as an essence of everyone, everything, every breathing thing, and life will become an act of devotion and sacred. Yeah, it'll be a sacred expression.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so beautiful because when we can realize how connected we all are, especially with nature, with people, with everything, like everything, it's such a powerful sentiment because then you are a lot more accountable for your actions and you're a lot more intentional with what you say and what you do because it does carry a vibration and it does impact those around you, not just yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. What about you? What would you do?
And what would I do? That's a good question. No one's asked me yet. I love this.
Really?
You know what? I would
I'm
give
super
people
curious.
I would give everyone a bit of a memory that they are connected to something more than themselves. Because if they could remember that fraction of themselves that is like a part of God, that comes from God, and that they're a blessing and that they're here to bless others, I feel that would be so powerful. And I'm not saying to discount like going through their soul journey or anything, but just to have that knowledge that you're not alone and there's always something bigger than you helping you along. I feel that would be such a powerful tool to carry with you through life. Yeah.
100%. 100%. If we could not forget who we are at birth, that'd be great. But it wouldn't help for our life in this moment. But yeah, but I get
exactly.
I do
Then we get from A to Z.
Remembering who you are is exactly. Oh, beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
And how can people find you, Amoré, if they want to come find you?
So I spend most of my time on Instagram. I'm an Instagram girly. So I'm at amoré.roux on my personal account, or I'm at kathara, k.atha.ra. And that's it for now. From there on, you can find all the other details and my links and stuff, but that's where I hang out.
Perfect. And I'll make sure to connect with you on Instagram, and also I'll make sure they're on the show notes as well so everyone can come and find you.
You're amazing. Thank you so much for this chat. It was so lovely meeting you, and thank you for everything you shared. And I felt so held and safe, and thank you.
Well, thank you for being on, and thank you for semi-interviewing me. This has been fun.
I can't not. I'm too curious. Thank you, Catherine. Literally.
Thank you for listening to Willow Healing Matters, the podcast. We have so much love and gratitude that you have taken the time out of your day to empower you on your healing journey. The views shared by the person being interviewed might not necessarily reflect that of the host and should be used at your own discernment. Trust what resonates for you and follow your heart and soul guidance. If you have any underlying medical conditions or mental health issues, please consult with your healthcare provider before pursuing any of the recommendations. Likewise, you can always contact the person being interviewed to find out more information. This can be found in the show notes. Remember to activate, align, heal, empower, and find love in everything that you do.